Awesome. Hi, everyone. This is Sylvia Ma, founder of Hera Fund and Hera Angels, and this is again the Google Hangout for conversations with angel investors. And today we have the honor and privilege of having Valentina Vitols from Seattle, Washington, and she is an angel investor. And she is going to be talking to us in two things. One is about Latinas and how Latinas can get activated in becoming angel investors, and also as angel investors, what does it mean to have increased deal flow, or how do we get that done in our ecosystem? So really exciting. We had a pre-conversation before, and it's just been awesome to hear her passion. So again, I'm Sylvia Ma, and we have a great partnership with Suzanne Andrews. I'll pass you over to Suzanne to kind of introduce her, and then we'll come back to our wonderful honored guest.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'm Suzanne Andrews. I'm founding partner of WingPact, and WingPact is engaged in activating women angel investors. We've just released the first book about angel investing that's by women for women, entitled Impact with Wings. So WingPact and Hera Fund, through Sylvia and I, have been partnering to pull these conversations together and build bridges between women entrepreneurs and women angel investors, and also uncover, have some honest conversations about some of the topics of interest to those of us in the ecosystem, and uncover best practices and women's wisdom, and then write that up and follow-up article and share it with the world. So that's why we're here. And again, thank you, Sylvia, and Valentina. I'm so glad to have you here today.
So Valentina, thanks for being here. To start it off, I wanted you to introduce yourself, and you are a Latina angel investor, as I am. Doesn't look like I am, but I am from Venezuela, and it was just a wonderful to meet you last year at the Hera Venture Summit as another Latina and another Venezolana. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Valentina Vitols, and I am originally from Caracas, Venezuela, and I've been here in the United States for about 13 years, on and off, and recently, about a couple of years ago, I decided to make a career change, and I became angel investor. And what I usually do is I work with groups of women that are interested in investing in women-led for-profit but social impact companies. And so far, it's been an incredible experience. So much that I am really, really interested in starting to get to find more Latinas that would be interested in becoming part of this movement, because so far there's some women that are doing really great work that come from Latin America. They're second generation here, but I think there are a lot of women out there that could be part of this movement, and also just make this community grow, which, by the way, has been one of the best communities I've ever belonged to.
Wonderful. So would love to hear a little bit about how you have activated, how have you talked to Latinas about getting themselves involved, and kind of what are the challenges, what are the great things, what are the successes that you've seen? I would love to know that.
Yes, definitely. So it's a little bit of try to find a way of how to get to know people. Obviously, word of mouth would be the first way that you can, get to know other women that have the conditions. Obviously, you have the conditions to become an angel investor, because there are requisites that you have to have in order to be able to invest. And one of the things that I've done mostly, it's word of mouth. And the word of mouth basically works as friends of friends, people that we know want to do a career change, or even whenever I try to be very active in terms of networking here in Seattle. And whenever you go to any event that it's held for or by angel investors, that's a really good way of actually finding people and getting to talk to them and get them excited, or at least tell you, okay, I know these people that might be interested. Or one thing that I've actually noticed that could be a really great thing as well is that women that are willing to come back into the workforce, and they have all the conditions given to become angel investors, and with the flexibility, obviously, of having a better, and easier to juggle with time schedule. But I think as much as we have gotten a lot of the word out about what's going on with the angel investing community, especially for women, there's still a lot of other places where we could go to. I've been doing a lot of research, especially because I'm just starting to be completely honest. And things like, for example, not only the word of mouth, it's also what got me into becoming an angel investor was doing an investing boot camp it's tailored for women. And then the other thing is that's something that I haven't even thought about much, but it's kind of coming more and more, and while I do the research, is reaching out also to media. So getting people that are writing about angel investors, or are reaching entrepreneurs, just to tell them, okay, it's not only because you see a lot of articles, entrepreneurs, what to do to find investors, but you really don't see a lot of, hey, you are interested in becoming an investor, this is the way that you can actually find a group where you can work with, or a boot camp that I think it's very important that people somehow go through some sort of educational experience before they pretty much dip their toes into the investing world, because there's a lot to learn.
You did pipeline, right?
What's that?
You did pipeline like we did.
Yes, I actually, the three of us did pipeline.
Yeah.
So just to very, very briefly talk about Pipeline Angel. Pipeline Angels is basically a boot camp for women to become angel investors, and the great thing about it is that it gives you the whole experience, not only the learning experience, but also the experience to actually make an investment in a company. So the best things I got from Pipeline Angels was obviously, one, learn how to become an angel investor and all the things that are involved in the process. And one thing that I really enjoyed about it is that my background is basically, I'm an attorney, and I have a master's in marketing communications, and then I have an MFA in photography. So I have a pretty interesting, varied background, but I've always been very interested in business. So I did my stint as an entrepreneur, and I'm definitely not an entrepreneur, but I learned a lot during this experience, and learning a lot about how difficult it is to be an entrepreneur, especially do fundraising. I was like, oh, I need to move into the fundraising area, and then Pipeline Angels actually offered me this opportunity. The other thing that I loved about the Pipeline Angels opportunity is the great people that I got to meet. So Suzanne and Sylvia are both friends and fellow angels, just because Pipeline Angels actually gave us that opportunity.
Have you found any communities that are Latina-based for angel investors or anything like that?
Not really, and that's something that I'm actually really interested in. Either just kind of like bring it into either Pipeline Angels, or probably something that I could like talk about with Hera funds, and but I think we're all scattered. So my efforts right now is basically try to go find these women that are interested, or find these women that have all the conditions needed to become an angel investor, and tell them there's this great opportunity. It's a wonderful way of just not letting your resources just go to a bank account or an investment portfolio. It's actually a lot more active and involves a lot more interaction with people, and it just sitting at a pitch summit is a wonderful thing, because you get to meet incredible, in my case, most women, obviously. People are doing incredible things for our communities, and people are really inspiring, and that just make I love the fact that I'm working with social impact, because there are people that actually want to make money, but they want to make something good out of it. So I really, that was a very inspiring thing for me, and it actually makes me incredibly happy to be able to somehow give back to these people Usually when I invest in a company, I don't involve myself completely, but I am always there. I'm always there for them. I'm always there to have a conversation, to actually connect my entrepreneurs to other entrepreneurs or other investors. So one of the things that I think it would be incredibly beneficial for entrepreneurs, especially those who have they're from a Latino background, is just to connect with Latino investors, because we know the culture, we know how things work. Some people may be doing this, putting together these companies to actually work needs in Latin America. So it's great to already be, in knowing how the culture and how things work down there. So I'm really trying hard to find women that are from Latino background just to become angels. I think it would be very beneficial for the community.
Valentina, I think it's really interesting what you're saying, because that's what WingPact is about, is a lot just reaching out and just letting women know, like, I do agree with you. I see a lot of resources in the media and online and around for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
But there's very little just mention in the media to women that they could be on the investor side also. So I agree that there's a hole there, and I think that's almost like the women's ecosystem 2.0 is now we're kind of reworking it to bring in investors so that we have women on both sides of the table. And in our book, I quote statistics about women in finances, and we know that women in general, as a big lump, own more than 50% of the personal investable assets in the country. My question I haven't seen numbers, I don't know if we even have numbers about this, is like, do you think that's true in the Latina community in general? I mean, we don't have numbers broken down by like demographics of women, and I know that not all women have the same experience, not all communities have the same, dynamics around money, but do you also have the sense that yes, there are plenty of Latina women who could be supporting these Latina entrepreneurs, they just don't know about it?
I do believe that it's more not what you were saying. There's not a lot of there are not resources out there to tell them, hey, this is an opportunity. And also, one of the things, and I think that's a strength that I have, and that's something that I want to put to work, is it's the way of approaching them might be a little different, because there's a shift also in how Latinas are managing their money. And because probably you're seeing more and more Latinas in positions of power, and just getting more involved in government, and becoming this incredible role models that are probably helping with a little bit of a shift in how Latino women look at money. And I think there's a lot of work to be done there, because there's the other thing that also might be something that we need to address, or kind of like fine-tune a little bit, is the risk factor. So we know that being an angel investor comes in with risk, and as I can tell you, Latinos are they love doing their safe investments and their safe thing, and things that are already structured, and they can come and invest their money in things that are working and have been working for years. So it's a little bit like I tell people whenever they say, why Latinos always want to buy their house? They just want to buy their house. A lot of them don't believe in renting, for example. So it's more, it goes along more with the fact that there's a risk involved in angel investing. So but at the same time, Latinos are fearless. So I think it's a really good asset Latinas have, and just basically work a little bit that, okay, there's a risk involved in investing as an angel investor, but at the same time, if you succeed and your entrepreneurs succeed, it's incredibly enriching. It's a really fulfilling experience. So numbers, I wish I could give you numbers, because I don't have them. I know the number, the numbers that we all know about women in general, but
but your sense is, from being part of the community, that the women are there, right?
Oh yeah. I believe that definitely it's an opportunity. The other thing I think about is, since Latinos gravitate a lot around family, it's also something that probably women will need to also discuss with family members, like their spouse or the significant other, and just say, okay, this is this opportunity that we have. I want to do this, and just like let them understand also that a little diversity in how they manage the money is great. And I believe Latinos are really, really generous. You can see, for example, all the nonprofit organizations that we have here in Seattle, which doesn't have a huge Latino community in comparison to other American cities. They're incredible. What they're doing is amazing, and people are really, really generous and really willing to help others. And one thing that I want to actually help Latinos understand here is that there's a lot of really great benefits and a lot of happiness involved in becoming an angel investor, as well as contributing with other causes.
So you see that women are very used to philanthropy.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so it's just making the shift that a potentially for-profit investment could also create the good that philanthropy. So you see that as like an education question for women in your area.
I would say yes, and it's interesting because I think when you're a social impact investor, it's really interesting how you have to explain that to people, because a lot of people say social impact, immediately they think about nonprofit. And I think that's something that we need to do as angels as well when we work in the social impact space, is just to let people know that there are differences between the nonprofit space and the for-profit social impact space. And it's very interesting because this is something that not only happens to me as an angel investor, it does happen to entrepreneurs. I've had many conversations with entrepreneurs that do work. There's social entrepreneurs, and they have also a little bit of not a hard time, but they have to explain further what they do, and because people immediately tend to see social impact with nonprofit. So yeah, but definitely, obviously, nonprofit works in a little different way, because there is a contribution that you do, and that's a contribution that's going to go for different things, but you don't really. And you see a lot of return out of it, like something that's built, a program that it's put together, people that actually go to school and graduate. Like, there are so many great things that Latinos are doing in this country in the nonprofit sector. But at the same time, I think in the matter of like angel investing, especially for my area, the return is going to be as good as anything you can get in the nonprofit area, especially with if you're in the social impact space like I am.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I see too is that it's like a leveling up of the type of impact that you are creating. So if you are giving for a not-for-profit to send kids to, let's say, elementary school, awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy that. I do that as well. But then thinking about that pipeline of, let's say, elementary school to high school to college, well, why not invest in a Latina woman who's starting up her business that at that point can't get investment? She can't go to a typical angel group and get that money because there's nobody that looks like her. So I think that that's something that education piece, Suzanne, that you're talking about is so important, because if we say, hey, you know what, if you are doing philanthropy, why not think about that social impact of creating that opportunity for that female startup to be able to create her startup, and especially in the Latina community, because you're not going back to your numbers, Suzanne, of more than 50% of the capital in the United States is attached to, let's say, women who have control over that capital. I don't know the numbers, but I would assume that it's a lot smaller in the Latina community. So what we see in just the overall gender lens of an angel investment group or angel investing and VC investing is going to be at the lower end. We know that African Americans are in like below 5%. So it's probably going to be similar to those numbers.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I've been thinking about is just to reach out to, just as a starter point for the recruiting of Latinas, is try to reach out to communities or the larger communities in the country. So probably I'm pretty familiar with a city like Miami or cities in Texas or even cities in Southern California as well. Just to kind of start seeing, it's probably more likely that I'll find women there that I'll find here in Seattle. I may be wrong, and I would love to be wrong about Seattle and get a lot of Latinas excited about becoming angel investors. But one thing that, for example, it's been in going back to what Pipeline Pipeline Angels have done. I was recently having a conversation with someone from Pipeline Angels, and it was mentioned to me that Atlanta, and I believe Atlanta has had 2 cohorts. The last cohort was only African American women, and we know that Atlanta has a pretty large African American community. So I was really excited to hear that, because I said, okay, they tapped into the community there, and they were able to be successful about bringing in, to become part of a cohort, just the largest minority in the city of Atlanta. So that made me really, really excited. And why can't we do that with Latinas? So that's why I'm really interested in making this happen.
That's exciting. I'm just sitting here imagining a cohort of all Latinas and figuring out how you might be able to make that happen, or what city that would be good in. Yeah, I think that would be great.
I can guarantee you it's going to be very fun.
We'll make the investment fun and the deal flow into that excitement of having a party, or connecting more, or having more of that family feel is definitely what I'm seeing. So in that aspect, can we go into that deal flow type of conversation, and the things that you have found as a Latina angel investor? How have you been able to get the deal flow that you want in that social impact group of startups? And also maybe you find some great Latina entrepreneurs. How have you found them? How have you created them? How have you had that deal flow come through your desk? So any comments about them?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm obsessed with deal flow. I'm obsessed with it because I think it's one of the most fun parts of the investing community, not only because it gives you the opportunity to network with people and talk to other people, which I love, and that's very Latino, of course, and at the same time, I love seeing the excitement of other angel investors about certain companies, and it's very interesting because I got a lot of really interesting companies pitched to me, and mostly it's not by Latinas, but it's been mostly by women. I've found that women seem to be a little more active when it comes to sharing deal flows and sharing companies that they are really excited about, they're investing in. So I gotta say, in the 2 years that I have been doing angel investing, and this is nothing against you guys, gentlemen, but most of my deal flow conversations and some investments that I've done have come from fellow female investors. So it's been a really interesting process. I have had a couple experiences particularly that have been this incredibly beautiful matchmaking between an entrepreneur and myself, thanks to a fellow angel investor. And I just want to see it a little bit more active than just an email. I think the face-to-face meeting and the opportunity to sit down and have that person that already invested in a company has had a great opportunity, or it's actually thinking about investing in a company. Just there's nothing I love more in this career than connection, and I think deal flow is very important because not only you are helping someone fundraise, you're also giving kind of a little bit of like a push and it's a recognition to the entrepreneur, because if I have a great entrepreneur that I'm investing, I think nothing says more than myself trying to get that person to get more money. So it's always been I would love to have something a little more fluid also. Maybe a way or some sort of like event or something that could make things a little easy for us to find another opportunities. Most of the time is an email, and I would love to see a little better connection. Like, I've been to several events where people are invited to pitch to companies, and somehow it can work a little bit as a deal flow. But I think for this, my take on this is great. I'm glad to be in an event where I get to meet other angel investors and have a little meet and greet and wine and cheese. That's great. And then see 6 or 7 companies, and I may be interested in one, and maybe interested in the 6. That's an interesting thing. So there's a lot. There are a lot of good companies out there, but I personally believe that the one-on-one, here's this person, let's sit down, let's have an hour-long conversation if you have the time, or shorter depending on the time of the angel investor. I think that's a little more effective to me than just having a larger event, which, by the way, I am completely, totally pro having those events as well, and I really enjoy being invited to them. But when the deal flow actually, for me, works best is when you have the opportunity to be introduced with someone and then sit down face-to-face with that entrepreneur and have a little more time with the person.
Yeah, I find that also very, very good. And what we do at Herafund is that we have every other week we have angel access hours. So it's a matter of, if you are that entrepreneur that has grit and determination and wants to get things done, you come to that access hour and you're in front of an angel investor. And let me tell you, the people that have come to my office hours, if they're, let's say, a slide deck goes through my email, like you said, or they're pitching at another competition that I'm a judge at, it's kind of like, oh, I know them already. They came through. They showed me perseverance. They showed me the things that I want to see. And I know that Golden Seeds is another female angel group that's around the United States, actually has that as well. I know in Irvine, for their SoCal group, they do that as well. So you can go on their website and find out when their angel, I think they call them angel office hours. So I think that even with that, as an entrepreneur, saying, where can I get that face-to-face time? That's where you need to get it. But as an angel investor, you could open that up by being part of an angel group and say, hey, I have open access hours, or I have 2 hours every month or something like that. And then you can open up and have those conversations with that. As you said, the conversations are so rich.
Yeah, they definitely are. And actually, to be honest with you guys, one thing that I've been doing a lot is I just go to competitions sometimes and pitch summits and presentations, and I just listen to the presentations and then reach out to the entrepreneur. And one thing that it's really important, and this is something that it's also important not only for us angels, but if anybody who's not an angel but is interested in helping entrepreneurs to get their word out. I just had this really wonderful experience of a good friend of mine who posted an article about a company that just won a competition here in Seattle, which is a very prestigious one. She just posted the link, and she's my friend. And I read the article. I fell in love with the company, and I just reached out to her and say, hey, and my friend she's not an angel investor. I'm really interested. Can you do an intro with this person? And I am in conversations with the company. And it was just, a very simple way of just, posting something on social media. And I think if someone can do it normally, like without being an angel, us angels can do a lot in doing something similar, and can actually get a lot of entrepreneurs in front of other angel investors. So I love the word of mouth way of doing things as well. I think it's a little more personal, and it does have it's definitely its advantages and benefits.
So you get most of your deal flow, it sounds like, through word of mouth.
Yes.
People, or you just happen to see it on social media, or people know and they'll send you an email intro, and you do go to events, but really the word of mouth. And then what's it like for you when you meet an entrepreneur, and then do you have a wide network of other angels that you refer her to, or how do you decide if you're going to refer her within your network of angels? How does that work for you? So it's sort of the other end of the deal flow. You're generating deal flow for other angels.
Yes. Usually, when I am ready to refer someone to a group of angels or other, I work with, obviously, I keep a really, really good and active relationship with my Pipeline Angels group here, both my cohort and the newest cohort that just graduated this year. So we all know each other, which is great. I do know other women here through events as well that kind of act solo and with their groups as well. But to be honest, if I'm going to refer someone, the only condition for me is to either do a due diligence or have, if I trust the people that did the due diligence for that company before and talk to them and kind of get all the information about them that I need to know, I'm more than happy to definitely refer that person. I have referred people that I have not invested in, by the way, and this is not because I don't like the company. It's because I'm trying to build my portfolio, working with companies that do have a mission or service or a goal that I understand well. That's something that I always recommend people. If you're going to become an angel investor, be sure that you're investing in industries that you understand. So I, for example, just to give you an example, in something that obviously it's not completely closed, I'm not closed to eventually, when I know more about the industry, invest, for example, in health and biomedical devices or processes or services. I don't understand the industry that well, but I've seen companies that have an incredible potential, and I know people that are interested in this industry. So if I know anyone had invested in them, I reach out, I ask them, how are you looking, how is this company looking? It's a solid company, it's a healthy company? If they tell me yes and I trust these people, I would definitely be more than happy to refer these companies that I don't invest in to other investors that understand the industry better. So it's a little bit, that's part of the deal flow. You don't have to be an investor in all the companies that you refer. The only thing that for me is really important is that the company that I'm referring, it's a company that had a due diligence on previously, and things are in order, basically. Unless it's a very, 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 very early stage company, and in that case, I think the process might be a little different.
Yeah, I think that's interesting what you're saying. It's sort of, maybe this is slightly off topic, but as a new angel investor, and I know we've all started in the last few years, that is one of the things I've wondered about, and it's interesting that you say you won't really refer a company to your your angel community unless you feel comfortable that they are a good investment opportunity, that they're investable, basically. So then what do you say to, and I'm personally just sort of developing this process for myself, what do you say to entrepreneurs that you meet that you really actually don't think are investable or not ready yet, or you actually don't want to refer, you don't want to use your social capital for them?
I actually did have a recent experience where I got actually very involved in we went very close to it was a very well done due diligence, and we found things in the due diligence that were not bad. It's just they were really not prepared in some ways that were, for us, just did not cut the deal. And especially because it was a company that it's in a very new industry that's still very difficult to understand. And I had a very long conversation with the entrepreneur after I told them I was backing out, and it was one of the best conversations I've ever had with an entrepreneur. And knowing him, it was actually a guy, and knowing that I wasn't coming in, I was very excited and actually humbled by the fact that he really still wanted to talk to me. And I just told him, if you are, it's an investable company, but they need to pretty much put order in the house. And I just just was very happy to generously share with him what were my problems and my the obstacles that I saw as an entrepreneur. And I actually told him I would never tell someone that they're not investable. I think everybody who has a good idea somehow will find a way to become investable. There's things that obviously, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that don't work. But in general, I'm happy to share with them why not, and tell them what I think could help them. I don't have the final word about anything because I don't know everything, but the things that actually kind of turn me off in that particular process. And it was an incredible conversation, and I'm really happy that I was able to help them somehow. So I would say I'm not ready, but I think this would benefit you a lot if you guys just do this and do this and do that. And actually, we had a follow-up conversation where he showed me a bunch of things he had done, and I'm like, I'm really glad you're doing that. And reach out to other angels, of course, and ask people for help. And the other thing, something I never did as an entrepreneur, I tell entrepreneurs, go get mentors. People are willing to help. Go get mentors. Because that's the best way. Like, having different opinions will help also the entrepreneur to become investable, actually. So, yes.
That's helpful to hear that, because that's I think what I'm starting to come around to is it's not that people are not investable, but they might just be not ready, and they don't always. There's education opportunity. People, the entrepreneurs don't necessarily realize at what stage most angels are ready to come in, and they're just not ready. And so we as angels, and maybe this is helpful to women who might be considering becoming angels and worried about saying no, it's like we as angels can actually help an entrepreneur a lot by that honesty about kind of where they need to go from here. And I'm kind of coming to that conclusion too, yeah.
Even that honesty of how much we're willing to invest, because sometimes they're like, oh, I want $1 million and I'm going to get it from one angel investor, really early stage idea. I'm like, no, you're not gonna get that. And just having that conversation with them is really powerful. So then they can say, okay, so I need to get these things done. I don't need just one angel investor. I actually need 10 to be able to get to my milestone. So even that education is so critical. And I love that you said that, there's not ever a bad idea or bad investable idea, because I run into that all the time in our accelerator. So I also run an accelerator, Hera Labs, and other accelerators always ask me, well, what do you do when it's a bad idea? I said, well, I work with them, and we're trying to find out, okay, so maybe you need to bootstrap a whole lot longer until you get an investor, or you might not even ever want to get an investor. What does that mean? But from an investor perspective, that just opens up their possibilities and focus them on what is important. So I think that going back to just the deal flow and Latinas is that even if you are a Latina with capital listening, and you're like, well, should I be an angel investor? Should I not be an angel investor? I think just even having that mentor piece, Valentina, that you mentioned, and say, hey, just put yourself out there and be a mentor. Saying, you know what, I've kind of seen a couple of deals. I've seen some business go back and forth because obviously something happened good in your life. And so just having that candid conversation as we are doing today is so important for that entrepreneur. And they're like, oh my gosh, that Latina was awesome. And I'm a Latina too, or I'm a Latino too. And I can actually make that happen. And I can reach back to her and ask her questions. And I think that just that openness, that candidness is so, so, so important. So thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity for us. We're angel investors, and part of it, I always tell people when they ask me, so what's the deal? And I say, well, yeah, it's great. I invest in companies that are, potentially companies that are going to have a really good exit and make money. And obviously, we do this to make money. But at the same time, I tell people that the beauty of being an angel investor, as opposed to being in other stages of the investment world, is that it's a more personal relationship. So there are a lot of things that can be said and can be a part of a conversation with entrepreneurs that it's just really exciting. And that's the reason why think it's an amazing opportunity, not only to make money, but to also learn so much. Because one thing that it's very important that entrepreneurs also know is that us as angels are always learning. And we're learning from them, learning from the experience that they're having, because not all companies behave the same way. And not all companies are having the same level of success. And some companies surprise us because we don't imagine they're going to be so successful, and they find, there's some sort of ability or some sort of talent that the entrepreneur has that makes the company just like take off incredibly. So it's a two-way thing. It's just we're not only just giving advice or helping them or giving them knowledge. They also actually enrich our lives, and that's what happened to me. And I think that's the reason, and that's one of the qualities that being an angel investor has that will be very appealing to Latinos, because Latinos have this very nurturing, kind of like thing to them. So it can be a really interesting and very nurturing, in a way, relationship you can establish with entrepreneurs.
I think you're right. People don't think of investing that way. Investing is just, in general, it has this more of a dry connotation,
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting that this is a kind of investing that has a warm personal relationship opportunity.
Yeah, it is like that, and I since I'm still very involved with Pipeline Angels, I'm kind of like helping them a little bit find companies led by women that are local to Seattle, and I've reached out to several entrepreneurs, and I had such a great experience by just sitting down over a cup of coffee with them. I'm actually starting this like very informal monthly coffee hour in my house, just inviting 5 or 6 entrepreneurs. And just, especially one thing that I learned being an entrepreneur myself was it can be a very isolating space, and you can feel very alone and a little, hopeless at times. And it's a very roller coaster style kind of lifestyle. And some days are great, some days are not so great. So getting entrepreneurs to get together and just like, even if they want to talk about their dog, it doesn't matter, but just talk about their challenges or just have a break. Or I think it's so important. And there's nothing I enjoy more than talking to an entrepreneur and saying, hey, well, one of the people that I invested in is such and such, and they tell me, oh, I know her. I had the opportunity to, chat with her, and we pitched together in this event, and we became really good friends, and it's been really wonderful relationship because we kind of like, give each other the shoulder for to, pat or cry. So I'm actually thinking about doing that. And just as an angel investor, it doesn't mean that I'm going to invest in all the companies. It's just facilitating also that opportunity and just creating good relationships, because that's the other thing I want to tell Latinas. Some of the best relationships I created in these 2 past years are either fellow angel investors or entrepreneurs that I've worked with, I invested in, or I simply just advise. So it's a really good opportunity also to build up community. So yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I think one thing that I wanted to kind of give to our listeners too, because I'm kind of trying to get everything together, is that I love your view of angel investing as a solitary angel investor. So a lot of angel investors join groups, and that's the first thing you're told is join a group and don't invest the first year,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can get some deal flow underneath your belt, that you can go to some pitch sessions and look at them and do your own due diligence, and then see the due diligence package that these awesome angel investors are doing. And I know Suzanne and I have talked over the years about how female angel investors are kind of changing the investment landscape. And I think what you guys have been talking about in the last 45 minutes has been like, it gives me goosebumps, is that there is a changing of the guards, and there's a changing of us being more open. And as you said, more warm. You're inviting them for coffee. Like, do you think that happened 10 years ago? No way.
No.
I open up my doors and I have angel access hours. Did that happen 10 years ago? No. So I think that paradigm shift of how we are doing angel investing as females is so, so important, and it's so important for us to communicate that. I know that one angel investor that has been introduced to me in Colorado, she wants her entrepreneurs to go on hikes with her, and to kind of not catch them off guard in a bad sense. It's just kind of talk about what makes them excited, and that's what I do too. As my investees, somebody asked me, how many meetings do you go with them for, or is it just one time? I said, actually, when I look back on it, it was about 7 times that I've met with them, either over coffee, or we talked informally for like half an hour, or I connected them with somebody and they actually executed that connection. I'm like, oh, interesting, cool. Okay, let's have the next conversation. So I think that just kind of having more conversation around that, Valentina, is that you are a solo angel investor that's really being impactful in your community. So just, that's why we love you, and we're honored that you're on the call. So just keep on talking.
You know, the interesting thing is, I think both opportunities, both going with a group or doing solo, they're great. I've done both. The thing is that, of course, my career change was basically, I attended a conference in San Francisco as an entrepreneur, and came out of that conference an angel investor, because I met Natalia Noguera from Pipeline Angels at the conference, and I was so moved and so excited for what she was doing. I just pretty much run behind her and said, can I talk to you? I'm also Latina. I'm really excited about what you're doing, and can we talk? And this conversation ended up in me just becoming part of a first Seattle cohort of Pipeline Angels. So it's incredible. That's the other thing. I always tell people, just go to conferences. You never know what you're going to see and what's going to impact you and what's going to influence a change. And I'm very grateful that I did this, even though sometimes I want to forget I was an entrepreneur. But it doesn't matter, because it gave me something amazing. It gave me a new career that I'm loving. But I was just thrown into this, and I had to learn very fast all the things that I had to learn. But most of my investments have been done in groups, or with fellow investors that I know, and we have gone as kind of like an informal group. But we have been together, and we have helped each other with due diligence. But I did have one instance where I fell in love with a company that I saw presenting, not even pitching, one event here in Seattle, and I reached out to them. And after I talked to them, I even liked more, because I really liked the entrepreneurs as well as their product. And I went to that one by myself, and I said, okay, because they're my only man in my portfolio. So and they were incredible, and they are incredible. And the great thing about it is that this companies are presented in this particular event, and that's the reason why events are so useful, especially if you want to do solo investing, is they all have gone through a due diligence process beforehand. So the only thing I have to do for the due diligence at this company is call their lead due diligence person, and we had an hour-long conversation, and he kind of filled me up in everything that happened with the company and how things were working with them. And it was a very it was a great open conversation with this gentleman who also invested in the company. And it was a little bit of a leap of faith, but I really, really liked what I saw after having this conversation, and decided I was going to invest in that, and it happened. And those entrepreneurs I actually stay in touch pretty frequently. It just to talk about how things are going, or they just kind of update me on what's going on. So the solo experience is great. The only thing that my recommendation for in this case is that since you don't have a group you can rely on for the due diligence process, because everybody does a little bit of everything, and it just makes sure that you get access to the due diligence package before you make a decision. That's the only thing that I would recommend. But it's a great experience. I would encourage both ways of doing it for sure.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Any other words? We have about 10 more minutes, Suzanne. Do you have any other questions for Valentina?
Well, I was interested in going back to something that you said earlier in the program, and again, this goes back to finding, new women angels, and your story is very interesting about how you went to a conference as an entrepreneur and you had never really thought about being an angel before, right?
No.
Even though you were an entrepreneur looking for funding, you were like looking for angels. You're totally immersed in the space. It never really occurred to you like, oh, I could be an angel investor. And also, earlier in the show, you were saying that one of the sort of demographics of women that you've looked at is women who are returning to the workforce. And I just wanted to piggyback on that and say that we're seeing that here in Silicon Valley. Actually, WingPact is partnering with an organization called the Reboot Accelerator, which is housed at GSV Labs here in Redwood City. But Reboot Accelerator, I think they started out wanting to help women return to the workforce, sort of connecting them, teaching them the new technology.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what we've seen at WingPact and what Reboot is discovering is that when women are returning to work, especially when they do have some financial resources under them already, they want to do something with impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
They think they're going to go look for like a 9-to-5 job that's fun and enjoyable, but if they could do something else with impact, they're just again, that's a demographic of women that haven't even thought about doing angel investing, but they're completely ripe for the picking. So it's interesting that you're seeing that there, and we're seeing that here. So I think that's a trend, and that's a group that we can appeal to increase our numbers, both in, it sounds like you're saying both in women in general, white women, but Latina women too are looking for that impact and just looking to do something meaningful, even though they don't know about angel investing. As soon as they find out about it, they just get really excited.
Yeah, I've been looking a lot at that. I somehow I've been pitched a lot of companies that do rely on hiring freelancers, and one of the things people tell me, well, I want to pitch in Pipeline Angels, and at first I saw this companies and said, but how are we going to work the social impact aspect of it? And then it just like, boom. Of course, they're hiring a lot of freelancers. Probably they're hiring moms that can't leave their house and because they have little ones, but they're still very talented, very capable to keep working, but it's easier for them to work from home. And working from home is a possibility, but it's not really available like a 9-to-5. It's easier to find a 9-to-5, and some women cannot afford to do that. So I just kind of like saw that, and then I thinking about it and being very excited about all this, that the ton of new companies are actually relying on hiring freelancers to work for them. I thought, well, and what about women that want to go back to the workforce and they can do something different, like investing, or they're interested in that space. Ding ding ding. This is a great opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity. It's a lot of work, especially when it comes to due diligence, which I absolutely love. I love actually participating in the branding and trademark and patent areas. That's where I usually put my hand on social media, how they're doing the social media as companies. But there's a lot of need. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than a group of angels that have all kinds of expertise. So one thing that I enjoyed a lot when I was with my cohort in Pipeline Angels is that we had lawyers, we had branding experts, we had people that have worked in the social impact world, we had a CPA. It was great. We had everybody we needed to do a very thorough and amazing, really, really, really high quality due diligence. So that was a really great experience because we all helped each other in a way or the other, and everybody brought in a little bit of their expertise. So that's the other thing. You may come from a marketing background, you will be useful for sure as an angel investor, especially if you're in a group and you're helping with the due diligence. You come from a background of arts. There are a lot of companies out there that are doing for profit, and they're involved in the arts, or they're involved in this and that industry. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your background is. Somehow there's a need for you. And that's something that I want to tell other people. Like some people think, well, I'm do this and do that. I don't see, I'm a good fit for this. It doesn't matter. I mean, the amount of companies that we're looking at, they are in all industries and they do a lot of different things. And definitely, everybody has a space in angel investing for sure.
Wonderful. I love that. So in the last 5 minutes, anything else that you want to say, Valentina?
Well, I would love to make myself available to any Latina women that are interested in angel investing. Again, it's been a great opportunity, and it's been an incredible life change for me. More than happy to share my contact information with anybody wanted to connect with me. And also, just tell people to check out both Wingpact and Hera Labs. I've been to Hera Labs. It's a great space. I loved it. I wish it would open here in Seattle.
We're licensing, so you can.
I'm not an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. Like, seriously, I love the fact that you're both. Yeah, I love the fact that you can do both things so well. So, but yeah, check out Hera Fund and Hera Labs, Wingpact. Get involved. Don't be afraid of getting involved. Just contact either of, it doesn't matter, Suzanne or Sylvia or myself. I'm really, really, really looking forward to getting a good group of Latinas to become angel investors, because there's so much to be done, and there are a lot of Latina entrepreneurs that could benefit a lot, getting also that little bit of push from us as well. So just to kind of bring.
I wanted to also, there was 4 viewers on this call, and they have been kind of putting some information onto the Google Plus page, and wanted to give a shout out to Remy. Thanks, Remy. She recommended that how do you get more women, Latinas, to become angel investors and maybe good organizations to partner up with. One of them is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate. Real estate, yeah, so that's one of them. And then the other woman who was on the call, Wanda Benvenuti. Thanks, Wanda, for being on. She also recommended the National Council of Puerto Rican Women, which is NACPRW.org. So I'll share this with you and the listeners. So the 2 ones that were recommended were NAHREP, so National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and the other one was National Council of Puerto Rican Women. So kind of really neat. Let's connect with them and see if we can help out as much as possible. So thank you for being on the call. I was really excited to see those things come through. And then to piggyback on what you were saying, Valentina, thank you so much for the shout out for Hera Labs. But we also have the Hera Venture Summit that's coming up September 17th here in San Diego. It's at the University of San Diego, and we have Latina angel investors coming in from Tijuana and from all over the nation. Hopefully, Valentina, you're coming, and Suzanne, and we have our keynote is Trish Costello, who is the co-founder of Rising Tide Fund, and we'll talk about that maybe in another a Google Hangout. And the afternoon keynote is also another pipeline angel like us, and also part of the Rising Tide Fund. Her name is Lorene Pendleton. And so we're really excited to have Trish Costello and Lorene Pendleton from New York City, from the New York City area. So she's all about diversity in angel investing, and being an angel investor herself. It's just really exciting to have her come in, and Trish as well. So, and then in August, we will have 2 events, pre-summit events. One will be actually the San Diego launch of Suzanne's book. We're so excited to have that coming down to Hera Labs. And then we will also have as we said today, all these deal flows and stuff like that, we will have a fast pitch at the end of August. So we will have 10 ladies pitch during that time, so that we can have 3 investable women to pitch at the Hera Venture Summit. So stay tuned for those details, and just wanted to kind of put those plugs in that we give you entrepreneurs and angel investors opportunities to connect and build bridges. So do you have anything else to say, Suzanne, before we
No,
head
I
on?
think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank
It's always
you.
a pleasure to have these conversations. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.